So congratulations. This is your 4th nomination. How does it feel to be back, you guys?
I mean, I would say amazing. It's incredible to be here. I think Yvette and I, last time we were, I think Encanto was the last time we were lucky enough to do something like this, and it's really amazing. I'll say Byron's the one with 4 nominations, and he is very sick today. He'd like to be here, but we like it when he's not around because he kind of steals our thunder a little bit.
That's right.
You know?
We love Byron.
So, in full disclosure, I worked on this movie with these.
Here's our VFX suit.
Congratulations, Marlon.
He had hair when we started. That's
Yeah.
how difficult the movie was.
I would have been, in the 3rd grade. That's not how long I've been shaving my head. Anyway, now I didn't work on the first Zootopia. I worked on this one. It's been 9 years since the first one. Just a big fan of that film. Can you tell us about how you came about making this one? What was the inspiration for this film?
Oh man. Well, so 15 years ago, Byron Howard, my directing partner, hired me for the first Zootopia. At that time, it was going to be a spy movie set on this tropical island, and I was like, oh man, I love spy movies. I'm so excited to get into this spy movie. And I started day 1. He went, we threw that movie in the trash can. And I went, oh no, what's going to happen next? And he said, I don't know. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about this world is that so many of us came together to figure out what this world of animals would look like and feel like. And in the middle of that, we found that the world was so vast and there were so many fun characters to find, we just didn't have space for it. So honestly, we started talking about bringing in reptiles while we were making the first one. It didn't make sense in that movie, but we always loved that idea. And the real question was, okay, if we're going to bring them in, how do we tie that to Judy and Nick's story? And I think as you guys just saw, we really wanted to play up this notion of differences, and of course mammals and reptiles being very different, but making sure that the Nick and Judy relationship really mirrored that.
So you kind of stole my second question
Yes.
here,
Yeah.
but I'm going to ask it anyway. So was there intention to make a sequel? And if so, were reptiles part of the sequel?
Oh, should I take that one?
Well, that's all you.
I love it. I mean, I'd say there's not an intention to make a sequel. I mean, I'll tell you the truth is, we really feel like there's countless stories to tell. So really what we were trying to do is make a world that was entertaining enough and characters that you cared about enough that you'd want to go back. And so I'd say while there wasn't we know what the next story is going to be, we really tried to approach it, I think everyone in the production tried to approach it, thinking about if it were you, what would you do? These are 2 characters that didn't really know each other. They really only had 48 hours to crack that case, to become a partnership, to become partners, and at the end of it they said, okay, we're going to be real partners. What does that mean? You know, most of the time in one of these odd couple movies, they sort of come together and then they're like, and that's it, there's no further story because they're together, what's left to talk about? And we really wanted to say, well, okay, do they really know each other that well? Are they really a compatible team? What's going to happen next? And that was really our jumping off point.
Okay, so I'm going to direct this one at Yvette.
Yeah, let me talk. My goodness.
So, the first Zootopia, dealt with otherness and bias and seeing past differences. Can you talk a little bit about how those same themes were explored in this film?
Yeah, I think, the first film did such a great job of really kind of talking about stereo and bias. And so coming into this one, we knew we wanted to continue kind of diving into that. And so what I love about this world of Zootopia is that it really gives us the ability to, mirrors our human world and allows us to kind of talk about topics that, in a way with a world of animals. So, we're able to kind of take it all in a different way. So this one really kind of dives into differences when you look at, bias and stereotypes and you want to kind of dive further. It really is about differences. And so really focusing on the differences between, as Jared said, reptiles, kind of bringing them into the world with mammals, and then Judy and, diving further into Judy and Nick. And, of course, bringing Gary the snake in there and really how all of his history and his family's history, the reptile history, was erased and kind of taken over because they were different and because they were different than the mammals. And so I think it really just kind of continues that conversation.
Jared, you want to add anything else?
Like said, I think that's exactly right. I mean, it is something where when we stepped into the story, we didn't want to repeat ourselves, but we also didn't want to veer so far in some other direction that it felt not like the DNA of what we wanted to step in first Zootopia. So I think trying to figure out how to deepen that was something we spent literal years trying to figure out, making sure that we were being true to the original story, but also continuing a conversation that felt like a conversation we needed right now.
Thank you. So another question for Yvette.
Unbelievable.
So talk about some of your production and technology challenges as you were creating this incredible environment. And
Yeah, there were a lot of challenges on this show. All these films, making any animated film is difficult. So, props to everybody, all the filmmakers here, because it is so difficult to get a film finished and to be as, great as all the other films that we're nominated with is really, truly a major feat. So props to everyone. But, this world of Zootopia, Byron and Jared, their appetite is not small. And they always want more. And, this world of Zootopia really kind of had to feel like a living city. And so that felt like, we had to have plenty of, animals fill the city, even in the background, and making sure that it feels lived in and really kind of as if it exists. So, I think the amount of characters, we do have one scene that, burning mammal scene, there are over 50,000 characters in that one shot. And again, this is what I love about working at Disney Animation. That wasn't because Byron and Jared said, hey, put 50,000. They're like, oh, fill the shot. And then we walked into a room and the crowds team was like, well, we put in 20, it didn't feel like enough. And then we put in 30. And then, you know what, we just upped it. And so really we do have a lot of challenges, making these films. And that's an example of one of them, of trying to make it feel so lived in and all the different environments. But what I love about working at Disney Animation is everybody kind of, rather than saying, oh, I don't think we can do it, they really kind of all come together and talk about how do we accomplish this and how do we make sure that, it feels like a lot of characters or a lot of environments or new environments that we go to.
So how large of a team did you guys have to actually make this movie, and what was the production schedule like? Because I remember Jared writing part of the script as we were coming back from Annecy.
Yes.
That's true.
That is true. We had, over 700 artists and production management team people in here, and I think it takes, and then of course we have over 1,200 people in our studio, and I honestly always say it takes all 1,200, whether you're working on the film or working on another film, it takes everyone to get these films out the door. So, we had a crew, a mighty crew, but it was a really big film. It truly is one of the most ambitious film we've ever done at Disney Animation. So to kind of accomplish everything that we did up there, we needed an amazing studio and crew to do it.
So, okay, I'm going off script. So Jared, there was a couple of years ago, before I was even thinking about being on this show, but I knew you were working on this film, and you were talking about the two kinds of sequels there are generally. There was a sequel that's just like the first film, except a little different, and then there is a second kind of sequel that is true to the first film, but maybe bigger and expands the world. And you wanted to make the second kind of sequel, and I wasn't working on the film then, but what were some of the things you kept in your mind and heart this whole time when you and Byron to make sure you were making that second kind of sequel? And I'm going to clean up after myself.
Yeah,
We'll make you pick it up.
I love it.
Yeah,
Well, it's a really good question. I think for everybody, and certainly when you look at a sequel story, there's always the cynical view, which is that it's a money grab. They're just coming back because they're hoping that that's going to be successful because hopefully the first one did well. This is not that. I think for everyone who worked on it, This is a world that we love. These are characters that we just love spending time with. I was talking to somebody earlier, and I'm sure it's the same for all the filmmakers. You know, it's actually kind of bittersweet when you get to the end of the road because you really love spending time with these characters. So the opportunity to go back into that world was something that we really valued. And I think for everyone that worked on it, we wanted to do right by these characters. We wanted to do right by this world. We also wanted to do right by all the hard work that went into it and the reaction from audiences. And we wanted to take them on a journey that meant something. I'd say, for me, looking at movies, sequel stories that I really like, it always deepens the characters that I know. So, you know, I think usually you hear like it's got to be bigger and more stuff, and certainly this movie has that. But you also want to get to know these characters better, and to make sure, certainly for Judy and Nick, that their relationship really started to evolve. That was really important to us. And so I think more than anything was keeping our true north, which was this is a relationship story with a lot of really fun stuff around it. But at the core, this is this friendship, and that's what we need to care about the most.
So that leads to the last question I'm gonna ask, which is, you know, what do you want the audience to take away when they watch this film?
Well, first and foremost, we always talked about we want everybody to have a good time. And we want Marlon to pick it up as a big ball of card.
I clean up after my own business. My mother doesn't work here.
You know, Jared and Byron and I spoke very early on when we started to work on the film is we knew these films were going to be hard, but we really wanted the crew to have an amazing time doing it and have fun doing it because we really, you know, believe like that translates to what's on the screen. So we want people to have a good time, but we also want, you know, really this, as we've been talking about, this film dives into differences, and I think we as humans, we were all different, and we have a tendency when we realize our differences, we can either walk away and kind of go back into our own worlds where everything is comfortable and the same, or we can actually do something that's uncomfortable and dive in and try to understand the differences, which I help us move forward and make us all a little stronger.
Yeah, and I'd say for me, honestly, like all of the wonderful films that you guys just saw up here, you want to bring something that matters into the world. You want to bring joy into the world. You want to bring hope into the world. And I think when you see everything done up here, you want to do that through this amazing medium of animation. Like that's something very special that we get to do. We have this unbelievable opportunity. And so I think for us as we went through this movie, we just wanted to really highlight all of these brilliant artists and storytellers and technicians, and put something out to the world that we hoped would resonate with people.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you both.